Hey everyone, welcome back to Playing Quietly. My name is Ryan, and I'm really excited because today I'm going to be bringing you my first Remnant 2 build guide. I call this build the Elementalist. We're going to be stacking a ton of elemental damage, and we're going to be using a bunch of pets to help negate incoming damage. Let's jump into the basics of the build. So, right off the bat, in slot 1 for the archetype, we're going to be using the Summoner, and we're going to choose the second option, the Flyer Minions. And in the second archetype slot, we're going to be going Engineer, and we're going to go with the Flamethrower. Now, the reason we're going to go with the Flyer is, number one, it's going to give us 2 minions, and number two, the Flyer minions are quite good at really kind of everything. The roller minions are okay, but since there's so many different flying bosses in this game, I just would recommend going with the Flyer. And the reason we're going with the Flamethrower turret is, again, we're going with elements or elemental damage, and this is just going to be another way for us to be using fire damage. When it comes to the armor, it doesn't really matter all that much, I don't think. So kind of go with whatever you like. For the relic, I recommend going with the Dragon Heart, and we're going to go with elemental damage because we're running elements. I recommend going weapon swap and damage reduction. The reason we're going with weapon swap is because of our necklace. I recommend going with the toxic release valve. This is going to give us great AoE for clearing trash, and it's also going to be giving us our poison damage. For our first ring slot, I recommend the Alumni Ring. Again, this is increasing our elemental damage by a nice 10%. The next one, we're going with Stone of Balance. This is going to increase all damage, including our summons and our elementals, by another 7%. Next up, we have the Soul Guard. Again, because we are running pets, we're going to get an extra stack of Bulwark for each active summon. And that doesn't just count for our summoning pets or our turret. That is also going to count for any pets that we might summon via mods, and we'll talk about that a little later. And in our last jewelry slot, don't you know, we're going to be running the Stone of Malevolence. This is going to help us build mod power, which we are going to be quite hungry for. Let's talk about weapons. I recommend going with a Chicago typewriter or any other rapid fire weapon. And we could go Space Crabs for one if you need some extra damage mitigation, or if you want to go for more damage output, I recommend the Hotshot. Hotshot's quite good, especially for these long reloading weapons, because it's going to automatically reload it for us. In terms of the Mutator, I recommend Deadly Calm. Deadly Calm is going to increase our damage when we are aiming down sights, and for a weapon like this, we're going to be aiming down sights quite a bit. For our melee weapon, I go with the Assassin's Dagger. Honestly, we don't have all that many opportunities to apply the bleeding effect, but in the case that we do, our elemental damage does indeed boost the bleed, at least from what I've seen. The Mutator doesn't matter all that much. The Enigma is going to be our final weapon, and this is going to give us our electric damage. In terms of the modifier or the Mutator, I recommend just kind of going with whatever. I'm sure there's a good one out there, but I haven't really found a good one to pair with it yet. Let's talk about our traits. So, of course, we're going to get Fortify from the Engineer and Regrowth from the Summoner, obviously. I like to go with Vigor. It's going to give us plus 30 health. I put some points into Spirit, so we get mod power generation. We got the 1 point into Expertise. I like to go with 6 points into Amplitude because it's going to give us a bigger AoE and it's going to help the toxic release valve do its thing. Then we put 10 points into bark skin to give us that extra damage reduction. 10 points into blood bond for so that our summons are archetype summons. So this is going to be our minions and our turret are going to absorb 10% of all incoming damage. We're going to get rugged so that our summons from our archetypes have 100% extra health, so they're able to take more damage from us. And lastly, I like to go 10 points into Siphoner, so we get that lifesteal. All right, so let's take a look at this build in action on the target dummies. What we probably want to do first, before we pull the boss, is summon our minions. Then when we zone into the fight, we're going to want to drop our flame turret in a good spot so it's going to be able to hit the enemy. Then I usually open up with the Enigma's special, and then unload using Hotshot with whatever long gun I'm using, in this case the Chicago typewriter. And already we see, and we swap, pump some damage, swap, pump some more damage. And already, before Hotshot's even out, we see that it's already recharged and we can continue to pile damage in. And just keep swapping. And we see just huge numbers. Now, again, like I said, I think the way this build really shines is that it can kind of help sloppy players like myself, who might take a little bit more damage. I don't think I'm ever going to be one of these people that's doing the no damage runs. But it helps people to kind of, learn the boss fights and, play a little sloppy but still be able to get the job done. To kind of close the video out, I have an example of this. I did a poll of the progenitor from the hatchery on nightmare difficulty, and I played horribly, and I had no problem taking the boss down whatsoever. So we'll close the video out with that clip, and we'll call it there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you found this video helpful, hopefully I've earned your subscription. Like and a comment would also be appreciated. And if you have any suggestions for this build, let me know in the comments down below. But we will see you guys next time. Have yourselves a good one.